On the continent of Africa, in the mountain empire of Ethiopia, the land is marked with fragments of a 3,000-year history. Carved stone obelisks standing in a village in the mountains of East Africa, 100 feet of granite as yet undeciphered. Monuments of the kingdom of the Axumites, descendants of the Queen of Sheba, a powerful culture known to the Bible. Stone fragments, all that remain of a once flourishing civilization. Castles in the mountains of Ethiopia, stone relics of Portuguese influence felt 400 years ago. The residence of Ethiopian kings for almost 4 centuries, these buildings saw the empire flourish once again, then decline, the victim of Muslim invasion, and finally stark isolation. Ethiopia became an island of Christianity in a sea of Islam, an island of league, stagnation, and decay. For most Ethiopians, there is little legacy beyond the presence of the stones. There is no memory of the great events. History and legend have fused. The monuments are accepted. Life goes on as it has for centuries. Ethiopia has 20 million people, most of whom work on the land, all of whom depend on its wealth. Nature has been generous to the empire. Among the mountains are high plateaus and valleys with a climate unequaled in Africa. Ample rainfall and deep, rich soil provide great potential in crops. Still, the United Nations lists Ethiopians among the poorest fed people in the world. Most of those who work the land do not own it. The tenant farmer grows just enough to live on and a little more with which to barter. Any surplus is claimed by the landlord, the church, or the state. Attempts to teach him modern methods are met with indifference. In this feudal society, prestige is measured in acres of land and numbers of animals. The farmer prefers 2 weak cattle to 1 strong. The choice of quantity over quality is another factor impeding development. Farming is of great importance to the nation. Coffee, which constitutes 1/2 of Ethiopia's world export, grows wild in this land of its origin, the province of Kaffa. Man probably first tasted coffee in this valley. Here in the province of Kaffa, it is called Buna. The real religion of the Ethiopian peasant is the religion of the earth. Life is an even, unchanging experience, matching the tempo of the earth. Little is known of events beyond the village. There are no newspapers. Only 1 in 10 can read. They have no concept of being Ethiopian, or that this is the continent of Africa, or of anything beyond this one small fragment of the empire. If progress is on the way, it is slow in coming. In 1958, in a remote area, thousands of peasants died of starvation before help could arrive. And progress in the form of ideas health or educational facilities has been even slower. The farmer's real contact with the outside world is through his crops. His bag of coffee will make its way to world markets if it can survive the long journey that lies ahead. The town at the end of the long journey is the outside world to the peasant, the only part of the 20th century he will probably ever see. With a population of 10,000, this is one of Ethiopia's larger towns. It has administration buildings, a new clinic, and a movie house. With the delivery of his coffee, the peasant's contact with the town and the empire ceases until another harvest. He has touched the 20th century, but been untouched by it. The significance of the town is its position at the beginning of the road to Addis Ababa and to contact with the rest of the world. This mill is owned by a Greek. The other in the region is owned by an Arab. Foreigners own or operate most of the businesses in the country. Upper-class Ethiopians disdain engaging in commerce. An Amhara proverb says, "From provenance of hand comes serfdom, from provenance of mouth, master." Ethiopian coffee is rich and strong, but suffers from inconsistent growing and drying. A national coffee board is trying to improve the product. Before the coffee has any value, it must first reach world markets. The empire can fail or succeed depending on its ability to move goods and ideas. Ethiopia is triangular in shape, 1/2 million square miles in area. Its size equals that of France, Germany, and Great Britain. But in this vast area is a population less than 1/2 that of France. When the Italians occupied the empire, they set about improving roads and building new ones. Their program opened up many inaccessible regions, clearing the way for greater central control and unification. These people have been to market to sell a bag of barley. They are carrying home a piece of cloth to make a shawl. The trip has taken 1 week. The mountains are the home of the pagan god of travel. Because every journey is a lonely and dangerous undertaking, people of every faith make offerings to placate him. They know his vengeance. The largest body of water in the empire is Lake Tana, 210 miles northwest of Addis Ababa. 1,000 square miles in area, it serves as a drainage basin, source of fish, and as a transportation route for a huge area. The lake's main importance is its outflow, the Blue Nile. At Tisisat Falls, the Nile begins its course through Ethiopia, the Sudan, and Egypt, finally meeting the Mediterranean 2,700 miles away. Through countless centuries, rain and river have gouged a valley as much as a mile deep and 3 miles wide, making the Nile unnavigable in Ethiopia and creating a barrier 1/2 the length of the country. Tons of fertile Ethiopian topsoil, the empire's most precious export, enrich the deserts of the Sudan and Egypt in the annual flooding of the Nile. In this empire, all roads lead to Addis Ababa, the capital of the country, the center of government, military power, and wealth. In comparison with the rest, this appears to be another country. The Addis market is world famous, the largest in Africa. The city is a meeting ground for the empire's 35 tribes and 70 languages. Christian and Muslim, Semite and Negro learn to tolerate traditional differences. This may prepare them for even greater changes now underway. In Addis Ababa, construction is the obvious sign of modernization and foreign influence. In recent decades, the power of the church has resided in the emperor. His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie, conquering lion of the tribe of Judah, elective God, Emperor of Ethiopia, King of Kings. The nation's greatest unifying force, the emperor, reaches all his people through the Ethiopian Coptic Church. Though a minority belief, it is the church of the ruling tribe, and as such has been the official state religion for more than 1,000 years. In many cases, it is the emperor's only contact with his subjects. The Ethiopian Church is a branch of the early Christian Church brought to the empire 330 years after Christ. Of Byzantine origins, long isolation from other roots of Christianity made its evolution unique, incorporating as it does purely Judaic and pagan forms. Its faithful number 1/3 of the Ethiopian people. Of these, 1 out of 4 dedicates his life to the church as priest or nun. The rule of the emperor is absolute. His person and office are the object of fervent adoration and loyalty from his people. He receives the homage of the church, which labors in all parts of the kingdom in support of the monarchy. His powers include the selection of the head of the church, and if desired, his removal, arrest, and trial. All of Ethiopia's policies, foreign and domestic, are formulated by this one man, Emperor Haile Selassie. During his reign, which spans 1/3 of a century, he has seen the breakup of empire and the emergence of Africa from a dark continent to independence and growing enlightenment. He will be remembered as the most powerful ruler in the empire's 3,000-year history. In return for its services to the court, the church has received 1/3 of the land in the empire, tax-exempt. This is the source of its great temporal power. Most of the remaining land is controlled by the court and nobles of the emperor's tribe, the Amharas. Young Amharas have felt most the effects of modernization. Many, having been sent abroad to be educated, upon returning find themselves between two worlds. Sophisticated in a backward country. Young careers versus old methods. If innovation is causing conflict between young and old in the political sphere, the Amhara in his personal life maintains an easy stability. The educational system of the church, the largest in the country, has also been under pressure to modernize. But the clergy is reluctant even to introduce writing to the peasant. It is felt that this skill endows one with the power of magic. Change has threatened the peasant with each new influence. Each time he has been left to his fields unconcerned. His ancestors have tended this farm in the same way over the centuries. The days of his placid existence may at last be numbered. If today men come to tell the farmer how to improve his crops, he may not understand that they bring with them the seeds of change. Whether or not he does understand, or cares, or chooses, the seeds will begin to take root here in this remote valley.